Welcome to the Little Warriors podcast. I'm your host, Rebecca Horan. On this episode, I'm speaking to First Aid for Everyone founder and tutor Siobhan Butler, who is a former nurse and worked globally. She now tutors in life-saving first aid. She's raised 4 children with her husband, and Siobhan spoke to me about the 3 biggest first aid rules, how you 4 minutes with choking, and how to safety-proof your home. Oh, and she also gives me a genius phone emergency hack I never knew about. But before we get into it, thanks to Loopy Loo by Lidl for supporting Little Warriors. I never miss an opportunity to get into Lidl to stock up for so many bits for my kids, especially because my youngest is still in their Loopy Loo nappies, and they've got the Loopy Loo biodegradable water wipes and the pants right up to size 7 as well. And do make sure to keep an eye on the Lidl Plus app for regular offers on the Loopy Loo range. And thanks again to Loopy Loo by Lidl for supporting the podcast. Right, let's get into it. One of the most important skills I think we should have is first aid. It's something we always talk about doing. It's in, on work notice boards, or people say we should do that course, or it's a box ticking situation for homes. But it's something we never seem to get around to doing until it's too late. So I'm absolutely thrilled to be joined by Siobhan Butler, First Aid for Everyone on Instagram. But this is a woman who was, working as a general and paediatric nurse for a long time in hospitals across the world. In fact, we were talking about is trained, highly qualified, and now is a tutor and mentor in this first aid area. And it's something that gives our children resilience. We are resilient as a result of knowing these tools because we're prepared, but also saves lives. Welcome, Siobhan.
Thanks very much, Rebecca. Great to be here.
Great to have you. It's a topic we kind of fanny around, and sorry to use the term, but it's very broad. It's like, first aid. And then you're in a situation, someone's choking, or you're on a holiday and you see an incident on a beach, or you're with your friends out. It's just, there's so many things that could happen. And I don't want to make us obviously highly anxious about the day to day, but it is something that's so vital, isn't it?
Well, that's the reality, isn't it, really? And I think the thing about first aid, it's all in the word, the first help that you're going to give somebody. And I think in my experience, being in the courses or chatting to people, even chatting to yourself here, as you said, somebody might be out, somebody chokes, and you think, oh my God, I've never done a course, must book in. Or else you're out in a situation, you're on your holiday, there's an incident on a table behind, and you think, God, I would have loved to have helped, but I don't have the confidence. So when people come on these courses, it's either because something actually happened or because we want to prepare ourselves. And are we ever really prepared? But research out there will show you do your course, you learn these skills, you tuck them away in the back of your head, and then it's like riding a bike. Someday you need to use it, you pop them out, and off you go, use the skills.
What's the leading, this is kind of a general question, but what's the leading crisis moment or emergency moment within a home? So we're talking about families, right, with kids. What is it? Is it falls? Is it choking? Is it breakages? Is it someone getting into some respiratory? What are the things?
There's a combination there. So approximately 270,000 children under the age of 4 end up in the emergency room every year.
Wow. In Ireland?
In Ireland.
Wow.
Slips, trips, falls. Choking, I suppose it's highlighted when we hear it. And, I don't know if you heard the Learn for Lauren campaign. They're an amazing couple that their daughter, unfortunately, sadly died and choked on a pea. And they have set this campaign, Learn for Lauren, and they want other parents to get these skills. They're very unselfishly pushing this forward. So it's not as common as we might think until we hear about an incident. But, I do a lot of things on safety in the home. You have a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old, so you might think, okay, everything was okay with the 7-year-old, but maybe the 3-year-old might be more adventurous. So things like leaving top windows open. The weather's fantastic, pushing a chair over to the window, they're climbing out, the medicine cabinet or tablets, dishwasher tablets. We hear it all the time. We think, my little one would never go near that. You have to be sensible as well.
Siobhan, we have a high kind of house. It's a funny shape, but we have balconies. And it was the one thing when we moved in, I thought, this is... My eldest child is quite, I think you are a personality, where she's quite conservative in her. And then the younger one, I just never know what she's at. The chair is up on the balcony. I'm like, what are you doing? Yeah. And only yesterday, and it is personality based, and I think we parent accordingly.
Yeah.
Yesterday, the iron was plugged in. It was on a counter. I was doing some ironing because we're going away, and I said, don't go near that. And she was all the way over here. Whilst I was in the bathroom for about 3 minutes, she'd walked over and put her whole arm to test it
Gosh,
on the
yeah.
iron. So now we have this huge burn. It'll scar. I'm sure it'll eventually get down. And thank God we had the proper, aloe vera gel. I'd put it under cold water. But the upset over
Yeah.
that. And so you're correct. It happens within seconds.
And I use that quite a lot in the classes. Like, kids are gorgeous. I love them. I for them. But they're like rats. I mean, really, they are. You're here, they're there, they're up, they're
That's
down.
the quote of the year. They're like rats.
Yeah, but I mean, that's...
They're just
so
scary.
And what your little one obviously heard was, don't touch the iron. She heard, must go.
Must be exciting.
Yeah, she's telling me not to do it. There must be something exciting there. And that's just the reality. We have to be practical as well.
Or they're investigative. Like,
Yes,
it may
of
not be
course.
that there's some kind of like, oh, mum said not to. It's more wonder why it's so
Yes,
exciting.
exactly.
Yeah, and then the heat. Yeah.
And they've no sense of danger.
No.
We know if you put your arm on a iron, we know that. And it's not even to say that if they burn themselves once that they've learned the lesson. They have a shorter memory span for things like that. But I mean, I suppose there are precautionary things that can take in place, like the windows, the balconies. Burns is a huge one.
Wow.
90% of burns are accidental and preventable. And it's just as you mentioned, the cup of tea undoubtedly is the most common.
And the fireplace open,
Yeah,
a bath that's boiling, you haven't put cold
yeah.
water into.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, so we learn, don't we? We get burnt with a cup of tea. And also, on top of them beautiful children being like rats, they're also like octopuses. They seem to be able to stretch and move. So it's just where you put your cup of tea down. So, when mine got older, then I had nephews. And I had to be, when they'd come over, can be more curious in somebody else's place as well. And you could see them, there's like, this cup of tea, there's a kettle. You're kind of like... So I think it's like... what's good practice? Don't put your cup of tea at the end of the table. In the kitchen, make sure the handles, they're very simple. Even if you don't have children, make sure the handles are turned in. Because these are how people present to the emergency room. Wow. And then if you do your classes and you say to people, do that, they do the class, I better do that. So prevention
prevention is great, and it's even mindset. Like, I've noticed this now, driving into our kind of cul-de-sac of our estate. The way I would have driven in perhaps years ago before I had children, I would have just gone in and turned. It's that feeling of a 2-3-year-old. They're little, they're shorter than my car, can just walk in front of your car. So it's not even about the first aid or the children. It's always having the mindset that you never know with kids, like the rats theory, right? Yeah. They're always they're always chaotic. They're always rushing to see someone or do something. Like you're saying, pulling something down. I mean, my one's a divil this morning. She's unpacking the bag and she'd pulled something falls. There's never not a drama. Yeah. And I think it's moving through. I think when you first have a child, everything seems huge. Yeah. Like, I remember my first baby, we wanted a wrapper and cotton wool. Yeah. As she fell, we'd be. Yeah. Now it's like you move through the dramas. What happened? You fell. You slipped in it's constant. But it's knowing what's the most important. I mean, you talk about that family whose child died from choking on a pea and you go, what? How did that happen? And then I think of the times in school I would send grapes in to my daughter and the teacher would send them back going, they have to be cut because a grape is so big compared to her esophagus. I'm like, what? Mind blowing, and
but you don't know this before you have children, and now it's all, isn't it like when you were pregnant? When you weren't pregnant, everybody looked pregnant. When you weren't pregnant, you didn't notice it. Now, all of a sudden, everywhere you look,
everyone's pregnant. So same with kids.
Yeah, and your antenna is completely different now, isn't it? You've got the grapes. That's a big one, actually, in the schools. I do a lot of first aid in schools, a huge proportion. And, they're opening lunch boxes, seeing the grapes, lid on and sending home.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I got, it was the worst mom ever awards. I mean, obviously they didn't say that, but it was like, what's wrong with my grapes I've sent in? They're healthy. Do you want me to send in chocolate? And she was like, Rebecca, that is so big for her little... And I was like, but she's the same as me. No, she's not. No. Tell me about your background. You and I spoke briefly before we came on about your gorgeous family. You 4 children, some in their 20s, some, a little bit younger. You're so vital and vibrant and brilliant, but you've raised 4 kids. They're all here. They're all great. What is the background into this? Because you were so helpful for women and for dads across this country as well. But how did this all come about?
So how it came about actually was I worked in A&E for 12 years and hadn't ever thought about first aid. So I don't make any secret. I did not become a parent and become first aid aware, far from it. But in 2009, my friend's daughter choked and she almost died. And my friend, the little one was 8, my eldest was 8 at the time, and my friend was standing in front of her. I'll be always grateful for her to ask me to do this. And she rang the next day and said, oh my God, wait till I tell you what happened. The little one was choking. I didn't realise it because it's not outrageous with all this.
No, it's never outrageous.
Very silent. So her little one, the colour changed and she just kind of went and keeled over. And when she hit the deck, the object came out. which is more the exception than the rule. So she rang me, obviously, in a bit of a panic the next day and said, here, if I get a load of mums together, will you do a first aid course? And I said, I'm going to be totally honest with you. I don't know anything about it. I was really annoyed with myself. And I said, well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll get somebody. Okay. I'll ring around and I'll do it. Because my children were aged from 7 to 1.
Yeah.
And so it was a bit chaotic. So I couldn't find anyone. I rang all the...
But yet you were qualified. You were nervous about doing that? Yet
I was,
Gosh,
yeah.
that's interesting.
It is. And I've spoken to
what
many
does
people
that say
since.
about women?
Yeah.
I'm confident.
I mean, isn't that the thing? Because I worked in a clinical setting.
Yeah.
And a clinical setting, if somebody is unwell, you pull your oxygen off the wall. You have a crash cart. Rebecca, I need help.
Yes.
That's your job. You're expecting these things to happen. Let's face it, nobody gets up on a Monday morning and thinks, God, I wonder will somebody choke today. You just don't. And it's the whole, oh my God. So I did think, Jakers, what would I do? And what do I do with the others? Do I bring them all with me? How does this work? Yeah. So anyway, after many attempts of getting somebody to come in, she put so much pressure on me. And I said, look, I'll tell you what to do. I'll put together a little thing. And I surprised myself. And of course I know what to do if somebody had a heart attack or a stroke. I never thought about what happens at home when it happens. So anyway, I did loads of courses, everybody for free, obviously. And everyone was saying, here, if I organise a group. So I became a tutor. To cut it short. I still worked as a nurse. I did the first aid.
And this was a side gig.
It was a side gig.
But you loved it?
I did love it, yeah. I loved the whole dressing up and not wearing scrubs anymore.
Yeah, but also going out and having people watch you and knowing that this is so important. It's enjoyable because you're engaging. Like I've been to some of these and you learn so much.
But I have to say, and my husband will testify to this, I was so nervous before every single one of them because people are hanging, you know, I'm the nurse, I'm supposed to know this
it's
stuff.
The Bible. You're concerned that I'm going to give them the wrong steer.
Exactly. And so I was nervous because, you know, I'm teaching this to people that want to learn it. Anyway, I became a tutor and that's how it all started. So it follows, so it's not just paediatric, it's adult, sport, everything, you name it. And that's how I got where I am today.
Did you then stop nursing eventually? Did that all go?
Yeah, it did. I worked every Saturday. I worked 2 nights a week, which was 24 hours. And then I took parental leave, so I worked 1 night a week. And I honestly, Rebecca, I never thought I'd give it up. It's a permanent pensionable job. Like, you know.
When did you give it up? What age
I gave
or what
it up.
stage?
I gave it up in 2012, I think. So 13 years ago.
Wow. So
I took a career break then.
Why? Were you like, it's too hard with all the kids, I'm done with it? Was there a lot of reasons?
Well, there was a lot of reasons. It was very busy for starters. The A&E crisis is no different really now. And then the kids were doing all sorts of activities. I worked at night. I didn't go to bed the next day. I didn't have childcare. That was by choice. So I'd come home from a 12-hour shift, have a shower, start my day.
It's exhausting.
And then I thought, no, do you know what? I work more hours now than I did then, but I get more. It's all about loving your job, isn't it, as well? Yeah, so that's how. And then during COVID then, my daughter said, here, do you want to do the Instagram? And I said, absolutely not. Despite what people might think.
Did you have a personal Instagram account?
No,
nothing, so you weren't even engaging on social?
No,
And she goes, Mum, you need to start this. Oh, she's very clever.
She's a nurse now as well. She is.
I can tell you, throw her my way. It's blown up. I mean, there's nearly 50,000. Like, you have a massive following. You have an engaged audience. It's a really practical. First Aid for Everyone is excellent because I did look around and I wanted to find someone who was qualified, but also who was engaging with us on a practical level. And it's a really excellent account. Yeah, like I would share it happily. And I think we all think we're so on it because we're parents, but we're not. Like there's so much missing. Like I'm heading away on holiday, and I've noticed this recently about myself. I would go on holiday, bring very little. I'm a bit of a hippie. Like I just go, I get rid of the constraints of kind of clothes, and I'm bikini and, you know, sarong girl. I go to the gym, but I feel very free on holiday. It's where I'm happiest. And I find now, since I've little kids, it's so anxiety inducing. Yeah. It's the delays in airports. It's what if something happens. It's the pool. Pool kills me, particularly with the 3-year-old, because she is as wild as I was as a kid. She will run. She has no qualms. It's accidents. And I think it's funny when you're parents, you're constantly on high alert.
Always.
And that's sad in a way because you lose the innocence and naivety of just enjoying everything. You're now suddenly like, what if that happens? What if this happens? So you bring to me, in my opinion, a calm space where it's like, if you have these tools, you shouldn't be freaking out all the time because you're in control.
But I think, and that's exactly the point. So obviously I'm out of all of that now. and I can see more. And I always say to people, I'm not going to say that myself and my husband sat there watching. That's not realistic. Of course, we kept an eye on them. They were never out of eyesight. But now, we're just back from Spain. It was like, oh my God, look at the kid and where's the parents and all the rest. But just a point you made on the swimming. You know, there's a couple of things that you can enjoy your holiday. That if your child has armbands, and we all know our children, that the armbands are taken off only when they're out of the water. But you need to have your child with you. So a lot of the time you'll see children.
But are armbands enough? So this is my query on this, Siobhan.
Yeah.
My little one now, she's learning to swim and she's great. The other one learned a lot easier and has no fear.
Yeah.
But this one, armbands in. But I'm always like, say you turn around, are armbands enough for them in the pool?
Well, I think they are.
Yeah.
I mean, you're with them.
It's a floating device.
It is a floating device. I mean, I used a vest for one of mine. That worked.
Yeah, because they kind of bob.
Yeah, but we were always with them in that. But what happens a lot of the time, you're at the pool, your child comes out, and in your head you're thinking, okay, we're out of the pool now. What they see is, God, one more dip.
Oh, I know.
They're so nice.
They're little.
But the armbands are now off. And they don't understand.
No,
so
they don't see the transition.
No. So that what you can do is let them out of the water, get them dry, leave the armbands on.
Agreed. I've only learned this.
Yeah, but leave them on. So that's another. But my cousin has 5 children, and they were all wonderful swimmers. And she, on her 5th child, was sitting at the edge of the pool. And so we learned from each other as well. And she was feeding her little baby at the edge of the pool. And the playtime is now on after the lesson. And what she saw was one of her children, she thought they were waving. Yeah. But what happened was the other little one, because the swim lesson was over, took her armbands off. She was just floating. But anyway, everything was fine. They brought her into hospital. She was checked. But the other thing, I think sometimes we get a false sense of security around seeing a lifeguard.
Agreed.
So our children are our responsibility.
Sorry, and thank you for saying that, because I do think you go on holiday and it's not parent shaming, because I think we're all in the trenches. We lack of sleep. We're trying to.
Yes,
but you do see some kids and they're wildly playing, and there's a lifeguard, and you're kind of like, well, but he's also. It's maybe a part-time job. He's just there to loosely see if there's any alcohol or glasses near the water. He's not necessarily looking at every child. Yeah. And I do love the ones that come to you and say, I'm going to be really honest, that depth for those 2 kids. And you'll go, well, like, thank you, but she can swim, but thank you so much.
Exactly, yeah.
You go to corporate, to homes. Where do you mainly? You do TV, you do where do you mainly go and speak to people?
Well, schools is a big thing for me. There's a load of us that work in this, and everyone has their areas.
She just whispered there, this is my first. Is this your first podcast?
Yeah, first podcast, but I said I'm mortified.
Popping her podcast cherry with us. Thank you so much, Siobhan.
I feel awkward about it, yes. But I think, so schools is a big thing.
Okay, so you go to schools.
Loads of schools. Been to over 350, I think, in the last couple of years, And they do a 2-hour seminar. Like the teachers are amazing.
So the teachers are watching, the kids are watching. Who are you doing it for?
For the staff.
Okay.
After school.
Okay.
And they're all amazing. Like, it's a big job in there. They're teaching, they're a social worker, they're psychologists. Yeah. But I'm very, as you said, if you followed the page, I'm very non-frilly, non-fussy. This is what you do, this is what you don't do. Get in, get out. You know, so you're not overloading people with information.
Because overloading means they're not really, they're like, okay, great, Siobhan came in. And they go home and their mind. But I like the practical sense of you bring the mannequins in, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
You do a lot of, so the breathing, the getting the airwaves released. Talk to me, I know this is really kind of like numbing for you because you do so much great work, but what are the 5 main things that you cover? Are there 5?
Well, the first one, I'll just give you these rules. I think these are very important. And, you know, I've eased off with my guys. Even when I was still nursing and my son had a seizure, I was his mum. I wasn't a nurse, even though I was still nursing. So we have to be kind to ourselves. But the rules I live and swear by that I think are brilliant. And the first is very simple. It's a 10-second rule. So danger is a huge part of first aid. And the worst thing to do is run in after your family member, injure yourself, and you can't give that help.
Yeah, it's the life jacket first, isn't it?
Yeah, but so exactly. So the 10 seconds, you decompress and you think, okay, this is what's going on here now. So I've had a chance to take a breath. The second thing to try and remember, and it's easier said than done, it is worse for them than for you. Okay. So you're looking at your child, your partner, your granny, your cousin, thinking, oh my God.
And you're panicking.
Your heart rate's gone up now to a million miles an hour. Your 10 seconds helps you decompress and think, okay, I'm just going to sort out what's going on now, because they need me to be okay.
Yeah. So my trauma and sadness is not helpful right now.
Right now.
Fine.
But that brings you on to your third one, the cup of tea and the chat later. So I'm a chatter.
That's an interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, I love where you're going with this. I
Yeah.
would never have put this in your first aid rules. If
Yeah.
you don't do this, okay, go on.
I do it in all the classes. And the reason I do that is when my husband travelled a lot with work, it seems that every time he was away, they got sick. And I mean every time, Rebecca. To the point that one time I rang him at 3 a.m, had 3 of them in the bed, all 3 getting sick, and I was up to high dough.
The romance.
Yeah, well, that was well and truly
dead.
Yeah, so, and I rang him and I was just hysterical, and he's such a lovely man. And I don't know what he was going to do over there, but I just needed to offload.
Oh, totally.
So he said to me, how come they get sick every time I'm away? And I'm like, yeah, because I always say, Dad's going away on Friday, make sure you all hold your sick and all, you know, I got real. I could almost. And then we came up with a rule, let's have a chat. Let's have a date night. That's when we started those date nights years ago. Let's talk about the kids or don't, but I'm anxious, you're away. And I tell you what, that's worked for us. Chat.
So
Later.
after the incident of granny having a thing or someone choking or child having even if it's with that person, the talking it
Yeah.
out, the tea, because if you don't, you're nearly on high alert still.
Yeah.
So you're nearly going from an incident of the kid, like yesterday with the iron, it was chaos because she was screaming. I knew cold water. I presume that's correct.
That's perfect.
I chilled it out for a while and I put a compress. Then I got my aloe vera. I didn't overanalyze. I said, you're grand, you're great. I didn't want to say to her it's really bad, even though I was like, jeez, it's going to bubble.
Well, you did that now unbeknownst to yourself
Yes,
there. Exactly.
but that's because I've kind of been there and it never worked for me when I got pissy. It never worked when I went, why did you touch the iron?
Yeah.
I just was like, stay calm, stay calm. And then after I had a little cry, I was actually quite frightened that her face could have been, I was really scared.
Well, that's it. You've done those 3
Yes.
unbeknownst
And then
to
I
yourself.
spoke to my husband and he goes, well, what happened? And he was kind of angry. I said, here, listen. She was warned. I stepped out. You shouldn't have stepped out. Yes, but it's happened now. And he said, okay, fair enough. How are you? And I said, actually just so upset. And it kind of helped. I think you're correct. That communication is key. I love how you've said, you know, your husband would go off, you felt like you were in the trenches, but then talking it out makes you less resentful.
Yeah, it does. And that's the word, isn't it? Yeah. You're like, God, it's well for you. And he'd say, yeah, I know, I don't really like these hotel rooms.
No,
I
I mean, nobody really does. Nobody,
but I wouldn't have minded a week, you know. In it.
We do glamorise that, like the husband or the wife who go off and have the travel job and you're stuck at home.
But that's only all your whole anxiety. That's the first thing that comes to your head.
What do we need in our toolbox at home? What do we not have and do we need? I think a lot of families are a bit like, oh, Calpol, bandages, aloe vera. Like, what are actually the important? I think the fire wrap thing. Go on, fire blankets.
Yeah, well, I'm all of those things. Well, obviously your
people
medicine.
don't have them, Siobhan.
Yeah, no, well, I'm mad out there now talking about them. I was on a class yesterday and we went through a fire escape plan. And sorry, they had said, no, actually, we haven't thought about that.
Wow.
I'll do the fire escape plan because that's so important. And I have a little thing on the Instagram and highlights myself and my son did. A lot of people don't have a fire escape plan, and it's a very simple thing to do. What do we do? When do we phone the fire brigade? We phone the fire brigade when we're actually out of the house, and that we chat to our family members. Usually there's 2 exits, A and B. So if A is blocked, we go out B. If B is blocked, we go out A.
Something I never thought of.
Yeah, so for example, we only changed our windows last year. Before that, the upstairs windows had the safety catch that you couldn't open them. So I went through it with my lads and said, God forbid there's a fire. There's no point even going out those windows because you're not going to get out. You've wasted time now. So out the front or out the back. And the big thing then after that is, where do you meet? So, you know, I know you have a 3-year-old, but they're so smart, these kids. You chat in a child-appropriate fashion. And if we need to get out in a hurry, we're going to meet down around the corner.
You give them a key area.
Yeah, so they know they're not all outside going, God, where are we supposed to go? And then things like working smoke alarms. My husband nearly set the bar.
Check the batteries.
Yeah, check the batteries. The first of the month, put it in your phone. People do that for breast check. Add in your smoke alarms. It's a very simple thing. A fire extinguisher upstairs and downstairs.
Okay, don't do that. Fine,
yeah,
great.
We have them.
Okay.
And then when my husband set the barbecue on fire, we had no mat over it. So he did it a second time. Then that's all up stories. And my son rang me and said, Dad's after doing it again. The whole barbecue was on fire. And he very kindly, my son, captured it and said they'd love that on Instagram. But the reason was because after the last experience, we bought the fire blanket. And we were able to put it over it.
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe
because people get a bit like chuck the water on it, chuck the oil, and then it makes it bigger.
Yeah. So these are the things, you know, the fire escape plan, and then your first aid kit. You don't need a huge amount of things in them. And I find that a lot of parents are being marketed for, you need a paediatric kit. You don't.
You need the basics, but you need to learn the Heimlich, I presume.
Well, in terms of what you need to know about how to phone an ambulance, Is that what you're talking about, the tools?
I have on my fridge, because of something about a year ago that occurred. I have on my fridge, now you're right, I only have a 7 and 3-year-old, and unfortunately we don't have home phones anymore, because they were so useful. So if you have no parent there, or you phone locks or passcodes, or a kid has no access to phone, I don't know if this is any use really at all, because unless you tell your child your passcode, or they're able to do that.
You don't need the passcode.
Okay.
I've done loads on that as well.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. So all this is put in.
Because I have emergency numbers and ICE numbers, and I have all of that on the fridge for if I had a heart attack or a stroke or was knocked over, that my child can then phone someone, because they're vulnerable in the house if the cooker's on, or these are the things I worry about.
Exactly.
You know? But there is a bit of a, do you go to the neighbour? If there's a problem, go to the neighbour, call. And I think the 7-year-old would be able, the 3 would be completely lost.
And that's so true. But I think role play is brilliant for children. They learn very well. They absorb much, much better than adults, because we think too much. Oh my God, Siobhan's after showing me this. The chances are it's going to happen. Children don't. They love the bit of role play. So, for example, where is your nearest neighbour? Do they know to look left and right if they're crossing the road, that they don't charge out? Because I did this for years with mine. And Jane was across the road, and they knew left, right, over to Jane. And she would have done the same with hers.
Is it okay to be angry? I think fear can be very helpful. When my kids are running across a main street where we live with their ice creams or whatever, I will go, stop. And they get, because a fright can sometimes help, and they'll go, Mum, you're shouting. No, you did not look left or right. You just went for it. And there was a car. I don't know, is that helpful, or is fear-induced kind of safety not good?
Well, I think that's something that is important. And actually, this came up recently. Myself and my mum were out for a walk, and my daughter Emily was about 4, and she was really good. If you said, stop, Emily stopped. And one day, myself and my mum were coming down the road, and Emily's ball went out. And my mum said, I said, no, she's really good. And Mum said, Siobhan, they're children. They don't, no matter how good you think they are, they see the ball, they want the ball. So I do think a little element of that's just not safe. But if you're doing it on a constant thing, it's going to go in here and out the other ear. That is something that they need to know. But I think, and I have loads of this done on Instagram. I did it the other day, that your personal information, everything can be put in settings on your phone.
Okay.
Under emergency SOS and health app. It's all there.
Wow.
And this can be accessed through
by a kid.
By a kid.
So you just show them all
so
of
it's
this.
all, so is that an iPhone? So
yeah.
you just scooch up your iPhone.
Yes. So I have my passcode, unless my kids know it.
But you don't need the passcode.
Fine.
So let me do it there for you. Put your passcode on now.
Right.
So there's no facial recognition.
Yeah. No facial recognition.
So you scooch up like that.
Yeah.
You press your emergency button. You press 112.
112, why? Yeah. That's the number.
It's either 112
Great.
or 999.
Did not know this.
Now, you don't have yours set up, because if you did, you'd have emergency here.
Okay, amazing.
So I have it on my phone, but it's over there.
I'm going to go and do that in settings.
Yes. Go into emergency SOS health app, and there's also an option that says 5 presses. Okay. Which would be far more applicable to both of them, your children.
A little,
because once you set that up, you can press this button 5 times. You'll hear them saying, what service you want? I need an ambulance. So they don't have to worry about faffing around.
I don't think people know this, Siobhan.
I'm always on Instagram talking about it.
Sorry.
Love it. No, but I mean...
She's very cross with us now.
No. For that reason, because not everybody knows.
Fascinating.
But also...
Because it is a worry, here's my passcode, then you could change your passcode, your phone could be dead. It is a worry. And, we talk about, go into your neighbour Kate, she's amazing. Yeah. What if you live in rural Ireland or in isolation? Or what if she's not there? Yeah. And you don't want them walking around the streets. And
exactly.
I mean, there's just, it's a minefield, but we also need to stay vigilant and not be...
We do.
Yeah.
But that one is brilliant.
Okay.
Because the 5 presses allows you then, if your child had to press that 5 presses, it also sends a text message to your next of kin.
Okay.
When you set that up.
Okay, I'm going to do it now.
Yes, they'll get a message. And do it with parents. Older folk don't know about that. That they know, okay, forget about trying to find the ambulance. Press that button.
Talk to me about choking. It is something, we're talking about burns there. Falls, it's very much you're at the situation where you're getting yourself to an A&E, right?
Yeah.
You've spoken about fire safety. Baths is always a big thing. We had a horrible story when I was young about a child who unfortunately passed away in a bath that was boiling because a mother had started to fill it. the child was near the bath, got in, and the mum had said don't. I mean, like we spoke there at the top, don't doesn't mean really anything to kids.
No.
So we're talking about water safety, bath safety, pools, holidays, vigilance with, I love your thing about like, we forget that, yes, medicinal cabinets tend to be hid away, but your dishwasher salts, your awful stuff that goes into your washing machine, all of this is poison. Bleach, they love the bleach.
Love it.
What is it? Medication. Another one I found a big scare for me was the stuff for slugs out in the garden, the little, and my daughter would go in thinking it was sweeties.
Yeah.
But what was I going to say? Choking. Talk to me about the stages and what the hell you do. And obviously this is a practical thing. We need to get you into our rooms to see this or go on Instagram. But what in an audio format, and this is video as well, but what in audio format can you do?
So basically choking is very silent. You could be sitting beside somebody, chatting to somebody on the other side, and this person can be choking beside you. So what I have always said to mine and anyone that's willing to listen, if you think you're choking, smack and bang on the table, make a noise. Get a glass and smash it. So at least now we've alerted the person beside us.
Okay, brilliant.
So you've only 4 minutes. When your airway blocks, you have 4 minutes to get the object out.
Siobhan. Jesus.
Yeah.
So, okay. Firstly, I think it's key to know, and it's something I've had to learn the hard way, when dinner time or lunchtime is happening, unless it's snacking and you can't always be there, be in the kitchen near them. Don't be fanning off to do the washing upstairs or have a nap. Be there present, because 4 minutes, lads, flies.
Not a long time,
Okay, go on.
And you have to be realistic as well, but that's what 4 minutes is. And what a lot of people don't really realise, when somebody is partially obstructing, we've all had that experience, it's gone down the wrong way, and they start to cough. This is very scary. And this is where first aid training is so useful, because once they're coughing, they're actively clearing their own airway. And I can say, Rebecca, are you choking? And you're like, yeah, it's gone down the wrong way. And I'll say, it's okay, you know, because you'll be probably leaning forward and you'll cough that out. Now, I like the rubbing on the back.
Me too, yeah.
Because at least there's something
Not the
tactile.
smacking.
No smacking.
No, it's the rubbing.
Yeah, or no glasses of water, because they're trying to cough it out.
Okay.
And something else that's very important that I got from my husband when he did a choking event and we were there, he was he was silent, but I could see he was trying to, because when you eat food, you swallow. And when you're choking, it's a completely adverse reaction. We want them to cough. So you're talking about two different, one is swallowing, one is coughing. So once they're coughing, allow them to cough it out. Unfortunately, if it gets blocked, the airway doesn't like that. It only likes air in it, and the airway tends to tighten. And now we have somebody that just can't talk, can't cry, can't make a sound. And from this moment, we have 4 minutes. Generally, a couple of seconds have passed by the time they realise, oh my God, I'm actually not breathing here. So you lean them forward. You're only ever using heels of hands, and it's between the shoulder blades. So you bang them as hard as you can. And and I think I mentioned that yesterday as well, that a big thing we have is hurting our children or our frail old auntie or granny.
Oh, feck it.
You don't want to hurt them. But a lot of people will hold back and say, no, I couldn't.
Oh, no, feck it.
Yeah.
If you're in an emergency situation, you're
Bang
smacking,
away, yeah.
bang. Oh, my God.
So,
it's much like when you're trying to bring someone back to...
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But I mean, usually, if you do that hard enough, usually it comes out after about 3 or 4 bangs. Okay. Because the airway vibrates. If that doesn't work after 5 of those, you place your arms around the waistline and locate the belly button.
Yes.
So there's always a bit of a kind of ominous thing here. Where do I go? It's the belly button. Making a fist above your belly button with the other hand, doing an inward upward thrust. It's like you're trying to make the letter J.
Yes.
So you're bringing in and up.
Yeah.
So you're relying on both of these. Each back slap contributes to the next and the next.
Okay, excellent.
But I think as well, keep going. Then after 3 cycles, if somebody's there to phone help, but if not, you need to phone yourself. Or the other big thing you need to tell everyone is not to leave the room. It's a terrible bad habit people have. We don't want to cause a scene. I don't really know anybody here. I'm just going to nip out. And if you're in the toilet trying to clear your airway, there's a chance you'll become unconscious. And
come on, who would leave?
Loads of people leave, I know.
Oh, I'll go off to the loo to figure it out.
Yeah, but people are really polite, aren't they? Yeah,
I don't know.
But 5 good back slaps, and hopefully but you always need to get medical care after. So even if the object comes out, you need to get them checked out medically later.
Do you feel that we are, when we have the right tools and tricks and skill sets, we are pretty much on the way to being in control of any situation?
I do.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I do, yeah. I think
so we shouldn't be panicking that we'll never, once you have these core key things, your house is set up, you know, obviously taking out car crashes and all the things that no one can avoid, you feel that we should be hands-on ready for any crisis.
Well, I think you have to be practical.
Staying calm.
Well, staying calm is just really, I mean, as you mentioned yourself earlier on about being on the airplane, they always say put your own
life vest on
first, because then you can give that help. But I think, I mean, you have to be practical, but I think I'm very lucky that people are extremely generous with their messages through the page. And I got one the other day from a lady, I think I posted it up, I can't remember, and she said she did the course, and 2 weeks later, at a family thing, her father started to choke. And she said, I banged him so hard, the piece of steak came out.
Wow.
And she said,
always steak.
Always. Well, it's so chewy. And then people just swallow. And she said, God, it was after. I thought, oh my God, I did it. I actually did it. So she said, before that, I said to her, God, fair play to you. I hope you had a nice cup of tea or gin and tonic or something after that. And she said, I don't think if it happened before I did, I didn't know where to hit. I knew there was some sort of hitting. So I do think...
It's being empowered. It's being in control.
Yeah.
It's knowing that we can help. And like, also, let's forget, it's not just about our kids. If you're minding other people's kids, if you're at a beach and you're seeing something, sunburn is a big one. Like Huge. You see parents who pass out because they're tired or they're relaxing and the kids are literally red raw and you're like, and where to step in those situations. First aid for everyone is your handle. You are so important because we kind of joke about and then it's all like, actually we need to learn about this with kids and we need to learn about this is the key, right? Within our homes there are so many things that can happen, and it's just being vigilant. Stop leaving the room, stop leaving boiling water, and we should be absolutely fine. So we're not trying to make people more anxious, we're actually trying to empower them.
Just a little
Siobhan Butler,
tools.
thank you so much.
Thanks,
I can't believe this was your
Rebecca.
first podcast.
Yes, thank you.
Many more from this, and actually see you having your own podcast. You're like,
oh God,
you will, and a YouTube channel.
Yeah, oh, there you go.
There you
Thank
go.
you
I'm
very
marketing
much.
all of this for you.
God, thank you very much.
You're brilliant.
Watch this space.
And yes, absolutely. And glamorous and smart, and has raised 4 children while being a nurse. So you have so much to teach us all. Thank you so much.
Thanks a million. Thank you.